Hi folks, Jerry Gagne here. Welcome to our show. We do the first 15 minutes um, by myself um, so that they can be sure everything is working. So I'm sort of like a guinea pig. Nothing in particular to talk about. I have written some subjects. Now, the way this show works, Foys on Facebook, is can send in questions, any question you can think about it. And I'm really happy that we've got a lot of questions the last show and during the week. So send in your questions via Facebook. You can do it right now. And when we get to the regular timing of our show, which starts in about 14 minutes, we'll have those questions to answer too. They add a lot of, I think, information and enjoyment to our listeners. I wanted to talk real quick about the auctions we're going to have. The auction starts at 4 o'clock, which our time is quarter 10 or 3 or something like that. So in an hour we'll start the auction. It benefits, and I've said this before, the National Pigeon Association Legacy Fund Trust. And all that means is if you contribute birds to us, or if you send us a check, it would be great. All that money is invested, never spent, by the Legacy Fund Trust, and then we will sponsor projects now and in the very distant future, because we never spend that money. We just invest it in conservative funding, and then we use the money that we earn to help people. I was real pleased. I got a letter today, and it's from the National Young Bird Show. Most of you know the Louisville show is called the National Young Bird Show. I got a $100 check made out to the NPA Legacy Fund Trust from Rita and Tony Courtney. So we thank the club very much, and that's kind of how it works. So if you can see it in your heart to send me a check for $10, $20, $100, doesn't really matter. It all adds up, and we're so proud of the fact that we just passed, if I'm not mistaken, $80,000 in investments. So that's a pretty hefty amount of money. Now you won't see the benefits of it for another year because we invest the money. The money then is available towards the end of the year. Pretty sure it's in October. We also always solicit request for contributions. So if your club or individual is in need, LFT is what you want to do. So I'm asking you to consider sending some pigeons to us. We've been doing these auctions now for, I think, at least a year. We've raised almost $10,000 for the Legacy Fund Trust to help the future of the hobby. And so many of us kind of wring our hands or twiddle our thumbs or talk to people and agree with them. The hobby's dying. What are we going to do? There's no secret that the hobby isn't what it used to be, but there isn't a day goes by where our company, Foys, doesn't get a request from a pigeon fancier who's just getting back into the hobby. I took a phone call yesterday. A guy was out of pigeons for almost 50 years. And he called me to tell me he's getting back into it. Ordered some white pigeons, but just so excited. I have another couple. Wife called me, says, "Now don't you tell my husband how much I spent for these birds." But she wanted to surprise him with a gift of pigeons because he's always talked about it. So would you consider sending a pair of birds to me at Foys? Address is in the catalog. If you send them, all the money that we raise from that pair of birds, plus the cost of shipping them to us, you get credited for. It's called the honor roll for the NPA. And your name will be published in the quarterly at least once a year forever. So you'll be known as one of those people who really wanted to support it, the hobby. So if you really mean, what are we going to do? How are we going to help this hobby? The hobby of pigeons is great. Why not consider sending us a pair of birds? All we ask is they be good birds, good quality birds, can be any breed. In fact, the more different breeds we get, the better off we are. Enough about that. I got a call this morning. As you know, I take all kinds of phone calls in regards to buying pigeons or the health of pigeons. And if you want to write this down, you might want to get a pencil. I'm going to give them a home phone number. I know it's kind of unusual. People are surprised, but that's what I do. I pretty much retired from Foys, turned the business over to my two daughters, Kim and Gina, and I'm at home working on the catalog, which will be out first of the year, we hope. And I also take questions. So, if you have a question about pigeons, whether it's the bird's health or anything about pigeons, your loft or anything, my home phone number is 724 359 5355. Gentleman called me this morning and he said, I don't know what to do, Jerry. My birds are covered in black. Well, first he just said black. That had me buffaloed. Didn't know what he was talking about. I've never seen a bird turn black. But what it turned out to be was his bird was covered in black bugs. And he wanted to know what he could possibly do. He was almost panicked. And I told him that those are little, if you looked at them under a microscope, they look like almost like a spider, little tiny black gnat-like things, but they're not gnats, they don't fly. And I told him it's really easy to get rid of them. We sell a product here at Foys, and others do too. It's called Permectrin, P-E-R, Permectrin, Permectrin, Permectrin. It's an insecticide, and I personally use it myself. I vouch for it. It does the job. Get yourself a 5-gallon bucket. Put 2 or 3 gallons of water in it. 3 gallons is fine. It's 2 ounces of permectrin to each gallon. So at 3 gallons, it would be 6 ounces. It turns the water almost to a milky look. Now, at that point, what I would do is buy yourself, or you may have a spray bottle, pistol grip spray bottle. You can buy it at almost any farm market or any store. Fill that bottle up with the liquid that's in that 5-gallon bucket. Then the reason to do this first is you can use the permectrin spray anywhere in your loft. Spray the walls, the floor, the cracks, the crevices. You can spray your containers and then rinse them out. So you've got a spray. The second thing you want to do is to dip your birds in that product. It's not for the bathwater. What I do, and like I say, I use it. The only caution is don't do it on a very hot day. Okay, don't do it on a very hot day. So when you get into the mid 80s or upper, you may not want to do it. So let's assume where you're doing it inside and it's not terribly hot, and the birds aren't going back into the loft in the heat. What I do is I catch the bird, I dip it in the water, head up of course, and I spread the wings. That's so that everything underneath the wings is soaking wet. Then I spread the tail so that everything under the tail is soaking wet. And then I don't use gloves, but I certainly suggest you do. My thumb is wet. I'm rubbing it on the top of the bird's head, which makes sure that wherever those bugs may be, they're going to be killed. When you take that bird out of that water and put it back into your loft or into a cage, it's going to look like a wet rat. But you won't have one bug on that bird. It will be completely clean. So Permectrin 2 is the product. It's in Foy's catalog. Can't tell you the number, but go online or go into Foy's catalog into the index. Had another fellow call me today about his Indian fantails. He couldn't figure it out. He's had these birds for 6 months or so, and they're going through the whole breeding process, but they're not laying eggs. I'm sorry, I said Indian fantails, American fantails. And what I suggested to him was a couple of things. I said, it's not unusual. Fantails seem to develop slower and wait for warmer weather. That little hint came from Earl Biederman, who's an American fantail breeder and secretary of the Central Fantail Club. The other suggestion where they're not laying is there's always the possibility that both birds are males. Now, if they were both females and mated, and it does happen, you would have 4 eggs. If you have 2 cockbirds mated, what will happen is one of the birds will take the role of a female, and the other one remains a male. And the male will drive the cockbird that's acting like a hen all over the place. He'll mount her, he'll build a nest. Everything is the same except you'll never get an egg. What I suggested the man do was take that pair of birds, if they're both cocked, we don't know, and put the one that's acting like a hen, put it with another hen, or put the cock with another cock, and you'll see the one that was playing the role of a hen then will revert back to a cock. That's why there's no eggs. If it were two hens, as I said, you'd have 4 eggs. So that's another thought. American fantails have to be trimmed, the tails trimmed, the vents trimmed also. So they're a little bit more difficult to breed, but patience, I told them, the other thing is do nothing. It's still warm, but it's not hot. In his area, when that the temperature rises, then the issue may go away by itself. Okay, well, get the mailman driving in. Oh, we do our show from our warehouse. So we have UPS coming in, the mailman coming in, FedEx coming in. So sometimes they walk past our screen. All right. I got about 2 more minutes. I have another question. It wasn't today, but it was. You can come right straight through. Madam Mailman, what's your first name?
Chris.
Chris. Hi, Chris. A man called me a while back about a hen, and I've talked about this before. The hen laid an egg, and then it was all crippled up. It went to the floor, and it could barely walk. Both of its legs were down, and it couldn't walk, and he wanted to know what was wrong with it. The first question I asked him was, did the bird just lay? And he said, yes. We don't know why, but pigeons are individuals just like people. And there are some hens, when they lay eggs, it removes all the calcium from their body, or at least a major portion of their calcium. And that calcium deposited is in their elbows or in their leg joints. And what happens is without that, yeah, you can go by, you're fine. Without that calcium, it hurts like heck to walk. And you'll find that within 24 hours, or maybe a little bit more, the bird will be back to normal. So that's just a couple of things we talk about. Are you going to join me pretty soon, Miss Gina? Well, thank you very much for the drink. All right, so we've talked about a few things. One other thing I'll mention, I was reading a book, and we're going to be talking about feed. This is a great book for general information, some really valuable information about feed. It's called The Pigeon Guide by 2 veterinarians. And this is breeding season, and we had a question, and we'll talk about it later too, because it'll be a little different. Man wanted to know what is a good breeding feed. So here's what the veterinarian suggests breeding season only. He uses pellets, 16% pellets, and that's what I do during breeding season. I switch to all pellets, 18%. It's great for young ones because it breaks down so much better and it's nutritious. Another thing he does while during breeding season, he puts red cell on the feed. Red cell is a mineral mix mostly, and then he puts garlic on the feed also. So he leaves pellets in front of him. I do it too, all the time. When you're breeding young, you want the hen to have access to the pellets, and you want the cock, who during the day is with the bird, when he comes off them eggs, you don't want that empty tray. He won't be able to eat. So pellets are great in a cafeteria style feeder, and then garlic oil on the feed. The red cell is Tuesday and Sunday. The garlic oil is Thursday morning. The rest of their time, they have the pellets available to them. Am I done? That's 15 minutes with Jerry from Foys. Thanks for listening. Gina is going to join us now. What did you bring me to drink? Pepsi?
Water.
Water. No.
It's hot.
Little
You need
Jack
water.
Daniels in there wouldn't hurt. Thank you.
You're
All right,
welcome.
it's yours.
I figured you needed a little refresher after that. Good afternoon. Welcome to Foys on Facebook. Wow. I'm already confused. So today's show is on feed and grit and a few other things. Grit feeders, if we have time to talk about them. I heard you talking about pellets, right? So we don't have any here, but
If she knows, I told Gina when I came in, hey, I need some more pellets. I got 4 more bags because I'm leaving in front of them. And when you've got young, like I do, all over the place, you've got to have extra feed there because as soon as if you put feed down, them young ones are going to come running wanting to get fed. So I leave the pellets in front of them all the time this time of the year.
Also, if you have any questions, please post them on Facebook. We'll answer them live. Or if you don't want to post them, you can always call us. Our number is 724-843-6889.
There's a question up there. Do you mind if we take it?
Sure.
I'm a little bit confused.
Okay.
What's best for young birds that can't walk? Birds should be able to walk, especially babies. I have no idea. Maybe you can, Jan, maybe you can send us in more information. Does that mean one bird's limping? Does that mean it's laying down, so to speak, and it can't push itself up? I'm really not sure. I really would need more information. Or the other part of the question is to help out old birds produce healthy YBS, young birds?
Young birds.
Yeah, I'm assuming that means young birds. Um, Clean water, clean that water every day. In hot weather, twice a day is better. A good top quality feed, although as I just mentioned, if you want a good, healthy, heavy young one, the pellets are a good way to go. Or we sell a product that the Moyer Feed Company makes, and it's called breeding and conditioner.
Breeder conditioner, no corn?
Yeah, breeder conditioner, no corn. Pigeons don't like corn so much in the summertime, so you may want to cut out the corn, or I've said it many times, if they don't eat corn, they don't get anything. But I backed off feeding grains this time of the year and switched to pellets. In your particular case, I don't know what you feed, but you might want to consider, if not all pellets, add pellets to your feed. And one of the things you'll find is at first they won't eat the pellets. Their choice is going to be the grain. But if you just put a little bit of grain and more pellets, you'll see that did we bring in a sample of the pellets?
We did not. I
Okay.
could get one though.
That's not that important. Okay. Anything else you want to talk about?
Did I mention the catalog?
Catalog?
No. Yeah.
No.
Also, if you need a catalog, just give us a call. We'll ship you one. They're free of charge. Just keep in mind that a lot of the prices have changed. Products have changed. The catalog is just about 2 years old. We are working on a new one. It'll be out
As soon as possible.
as soon as possible.
Because Jerry is holding everybody up. I'm the one that creates the basics, and then I send it to Veronica and Gina, and they do the corrections or maybe some misinformation, and then after that it comes back to me. We go through it about 6 times. The catalog that's available now is 1819, which means it came out in the latter part of 2017, and prices have changed. A few have gone down, but I admit the majority have gone up.
And we get price. I know a lot of people complain about price changes when they call, but we get price changes every day. So like I said, the catalog's almost 2 years old. The most up to date would be our online catalog. So if you want to go on there, that'll show the new products and the updated prices.
And another thing, if you have the catalog in front of you when you call me, and you have a health issue, like the guy with the bugs, permethrin 2, I told him to go to the exact page. I says, you read that, the directions are there, it tells you how to do it. So it makes it a little easier, because a lot of people want me to spell the name of the drug, or then I go through, because I have a bit of an accent, my T's sound like C's, and my G's sound like, I don't know, something else, but everybody wants me to repeat the lettering. So if you have your catalog, when you call me, that would be a big help too. All right, we're going to talk about feed, right?
Hold on.
Go ahead.
One more thing.
All right.
Also, a lot of people say they don't want a catalog because they'll just look online. But there's a lot of good information that Jerry puts in the catalog. A lot of tips, a lot of information about different diseases, different things going on with the bird. So it's It might be good for you to have one.
I laughed, and I was looking at my catalog before the show started, and I have all kinds of tips in there, and I don't know how this one got in there or why I put it in, but it tells you if you have a bent penny and want to straighten it out, it's in my catalog.
It is?
Yeah, you put it in boiling water and flatten it out. It's in the catalog. So that one we'll probably delete. I don't think that has much to do with pigeons. All right.
Give me that stack of paper.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll do the feed first.
All
These four.
And I want to get back to the auction because we didn't get our auction birds on until Wednesday. And so we haven't got the bids that we normally do. There's 7 mookies going up, all as a group, 7 of them. So you're going to get multiple pairs. And there's a really nice pair from Earl Biederman of the Indian Fantails. So you can bid while we're doing this show.
American Fantails?
Did I say Indian?
Yeah.
American. That's twice I've done that today.
And a pair of racing homers. So that auction will start at 4 o'clock and end at 4:15. Okay, so we're gonna excuse me. I think I got some
Drink some
dust
water.
in my throat. We're gonna talk about 4 different feeds today, and they are all from Moyer. We're gonna talk about breeder conditioner no corn, European Supreme with small yellow corn, European Supreme with popcorn, and short beak.
Moyer's is one of our suppliers. We have 2 major suppliers of pigeon feed. And what's amazing is evidently good quality feed is not available in a lot of places. There's hardly a day goes by where we don't ship by FedEx or UPS multiple bags of 50-pound bags or 44-pound bags of pigeon feed. So this is a real top quality feed. We're going to talk about the European first, or how do you want to do this?
Yeah.
You're the director of the show. I'll have
We'll
to
do
follow.
the breeder conditioner no corn first.
Okay. Then my question to you is, why didn't you have them in the proper sequence?
I didn't.
That's the next one we're going to talk about?
Yes.
Okay. Breeder conditioner. Generally speaking, most people take the corn away during the summertime. The reason for corn in a feed is it builds body fat. Without corn, then when it's real hot, you don't want your birds panting. So this is a good idea. It's a real clean mix. One of the things I show people, it's so important. If you try this with the feeds you've got, pick up a handful and just kind of let it go back into the container and look at your hand. There isn't a speck of dust here. I don't know how many times this is clean and air blown, but our feed is super, super clean, whether it's Versalogger or whether it's Moyer. What does Moyer call their feed? Is Moyer's or there's another
Pure
name.
grain?
Yeah, pure grain. I was trying to remember that. Nice mix. Gentleman, in fact, it's one of the questions we had that we're going to answer in a little while. He asked about Canadian peas. There's an abundance of Canadian peas. His birds love it. He's hoping he can buy just contain the Canadian peas by themselves, and we'll address that when we get to it. So it's a nice, clean mix. There's buckwheat in here. I'm looking at them. This is called an Austrian pea, the green pea. There are actually 3 kinds of pea in here. Peas, not pea. We don't want 3 kinds of pea, right? How would you get 3 kinds of pea? Oh,
Anyways,
I know. You get a dog.
3 kinds
a cat.
of peas.
Oh, okay. There's good quality safflower in here. So it's a nice mix, but it has no corn. There are some people who want no corn. So it's good because when you're feeding birds, especially maybe the smaller breeds, the rollers and the smaller breeds, the corn we're going to be talking in the next feed is a fairly large kernel of corn, and the real small breeds might have a little bit more difficulty in digesting it or getting it down their throat. So if you wanted to do a breeder feed without corn, this is the one to do. If you want to know prices, if you want to know protein levels, fiber levels, you can call us and we'll give you that information. But it's in the catalog too. The next one we're going to talk about, European Supreme with corn. And here again, it's a very, very similar product as the conditioner with no corn. The difference, of course, is corn. So you're going to have a little bit less of the the peas in this mix. It's what I feed in the wintertime. This is all they get. I don't go to this. I go to this because I want to build body fat in the winter, which creates heat. But there's your American corn, safflower, Canadian pea, which is white, the maple pea, which is brown, the Austrian pea, which is green. We have, did I already mention safflower? Also, and there's buckwheat in here, and there's millet in here. So it's a nice, nice mix. And here again, look at how clean it is. I'm going to put it in my, you can put your hand in the bag and it comes out perfectly clean. The third one we're going to talk about is this, which one is
European
this?
Supreme with popcorn.
Okay. It almost looks like there's no corn. Remember I mentioned on the last one you had a little bit larger corn in this one than a conditioner. This one is Moyer's Feed. It's basically the same thing as the European Supreme with corn, but it's better for maybe your younger, smaller breeds because there's no kernel corn in here. It's all the very small popcorn, so easier to swallow and not to digest, but swallow. A lot of people think there's a big difference between American the kernel corn and the popcorn. Nutritionally, absolutely no difference at all. So whether you give them kernel corn or popcorn, nutritionally, it's the same. It has the same feeds as this one did, but popcorn. So if you're asking about a smaller breed and you're concerned, then I know some people use this as a short beak feed too, although there is one that's just short beak. If you have a question about feed, send a question in. We'll do our very best to answer it. Did you want to take that question before we move on?
Oh, yeah. Carrie asked if we could show the pellets. Here it is.
Okay. This is what the pellet looks like. Can you see that? I can't really tell. Okay. Here again, you can see, I make a mess here, but it's pellets, especially if you use chicken pellets. When you get to the bottom of the container or bag, there's a lot of dust. I'm not going to tell you there's not going to be any dust in the bottom of this bag, made by the same company. It's a pure grain feed, but it's a. Would you look that up in the catalog, please?
What?
The pellets themselves. I think I'm almost positive it's an 18% protein, which is a nice high level. 16, 18 is
18% protein.
You don't go much higher than that. Let me see here. When we talk about the high pro, it's 18%, but it's 2.5% fat. That's fairly low. And fiber, pigeons need fiber, 8%. So I like to use it during my breeding season. As I said, if you want a good one, you can see how small it is. And it's in front of them all the time. We sell a cafeteria feeder, one that hangs on the wall or one that can set on the floor. The one on the wall, the way it works is it'll hold almost 50 pounds. But when they jump up, there's a little ledge and they can stand there and eat. And they're round holes like this where it reduces the amount of waste. So cafeterias are great for breeding season because you're sure your birds are getting enough feed so that they can feed their young. Because as you know, when they're feeding their young and they get a little bit bigger, they eat. The little baby just drives them nuts for more, so the birds, mother and the father both feed them. They regurgitate that feed. Now they're empty. They have to go back. So make sure that you have feed in front of them all the time. You may want to consider making your own or purchasing a cafeteria feeder from Foys. As I said, we have both the wall mount. Well, I like the wall mount. It's up higher, maybe a little bit off the floor. And if you want to make it maybe that far off the floor, let's say 4 inches, 5 inches, what that does is it serves two purposes. If it's up off the floor, the babies, when they are being chased maybe by an aggressive male, will run under that and hide. So it gives them some protection, and then with the little thing sticking out, they can jump. The parents can jump up, get as much feed as they need.
The next question is about pellets.
Okay.
Gilbert said the only pigeon pellets available are the size of rabbit pellets. He's trying to
Uh,
find
well, Gilbert, nice to talk to you. You should be able to find chicken pellets. If they have rabbit pellets, they're going to have chicken and turkey pellets. And I know that they should be fine. The birds will pick through them maybe, but chicken, turkey pellets best as long as it's not medicated. So I would just check your Agway store or any feed store and the trade, or not trade on, what's the name of the one? Tractor Supply, Rural King. You go in there, they're going to have chicken pellets or turkey pellets. If you have to choose between the two, turkey pellets unmedicated is the way to go. But if we also sell them, we'd be glad to send them to you. But sometimes the shipping is more than the product, what you pay for the product. Okay.
Okay. Next feed is going to be short beak feed. It's also from Moyer. It's been really popular lately. The last time I ordered, which was probably 2 weeks ago, I think I ordered 18 bags, and within like 5 days, they all sold.
It's an exceptionally good mix for people who raise short beak birds. When you have a short beak, and we're talking about oriental frills, the satinets, or we're talking about African owls, there are various breeds that have almost no beak at all. It's rounded, and they have a very difficult time eating. So you need to put a grain in front of them that's mostly very, very small and easy to pick up. So these short beak mix is not available anywhere. You're not going to walk into any Agway or Tractor Supply or anything like that and find it. So this is a short beak mix. You can see it's really small. Those birds that you're breeding now, when you're breeding frills or African owls, you're not. It'll come to me. They're not feeding their own young. If you raise those short-beaked birds, what you're talking about is using feeders or whatever you want to call them, adopted parents, something like that. So you take the eggs from the short-beak, you put them under rollers, homers. Everybody has their favorite bird to feed the short-beak. The short-beak parents can't feed them; they would die. So with this kind of a feed, it's easy to get it down their throat for the young ones. So if you do raise them, I don't know how you could have anything other than this to feed. So Moyer makes a great. I'm trying to give. I already showed you, I guess, but it's called short beak mix. It nutritionally it's fine. You could feed it year round to almost any bird, but it's made specifically for the fanciers who raise the short beak breeds. Okay. Well, we got through 5 of them.
Okay, so next we're going to talk about the grit. The first one we're going to talk about is the grit concentrate.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I'm going to listen to you.
I wasn't prepared for that.
Well,
always trying to put me on the spot.
I know. But I will say that Gina, all of us that work here, but Gina is, by doing this show, you're learning, I hope, but Gina has picked up an awful lot too. And when you call, and I notice I'm getting fewer and fewer calls at home. And the reason for that is our people are so well trained, especially Gina and Kim, because we get those, and Vicky, and Sherry, and Sam. But we hear the same questions over and over and over, and they'll ask me at first, but within a very short period of time, if the same question comes up, they know the answer. Claire Hetland, who used to own Foys, we bought it from Claire about 20 years ago. He came up with this. He was a pharmacist, and this is called grit concentrate, and it has iron in it. It has charcoal in it. Do you remember what else? I'm trying to remember my ingredients. But what it's for is in a lot of areas, people want to buy pigeon grit, but you can't find it. Most feed stores don't even know what you're talking about. So you're left with the choice of a chicken grit, which is granite mostly, and maybe some oyster shell. Oh, there's oyster in here. There's two, isn't there? I'm trying to remember.
Yeah.
Oyster shell. So
Er,
what this can you say something? What
okay.
this is for is if you can't find regular pigeon grit, and there's a difference between pigeon grit and chicken grit. Buy yourself a 100-pound bag. Usually the grit comes in 100 or 50. It tells you in the catalog. I can't remember. But
50.
you're going to mix this. It's 50-pound bag, isn't it?
Oyster shell and granite grit.
Yeah. If you have a 50-pound bag of chicken grit, you mix the container, which is 5 pounds. You'll get a 5-pound bag of this, which we make ourselves. Nobody else in the industry has it, and you dump it in with the grit. If you have an electric cement mixer, which we do, you can pour this in with your grit, and the mixer goes round and round and mixes it up. The other way to do it is just put it in a container of some sort and shake it up. I shouldn't say it that way; it'd be awful hard. But you could put it into a pan and mix it up with some sort of a pot. So 15 pounds of grit concentrate goes with 50 pounds of chicken grit, and you've got a pigeon grit with all the nutrition you want. The reason we've made this available, or I shouldn't say we, Claire Hetland did many years ago, who Claire passed away in April, is the expense of shipping grit. Very expensive, like all things, 50 pounds or so. So buy this, and you're paying to ship 15 pounds and pick up your grit locally. Okay.
We have a question. What's the best feed to feed racing pigeons?
Well, that's a tricky one. There is no best feed because when you're racing, there's a lot of people mix their own. There's a short distance, middle distance, and long distance. When you get into the longer distances, the feed is different than a short distance because you may need more body fat because on a 500-mile race or a 400-mile race or even a 300-mile race, they're going to use up a lot more energy on what we call a sprint. That might be a 100-mile race, 150-mile race. So nutritionally, it's completely different. So I can't tell you what the best is, but we do sell racing mixes. So Versalaga makes a good one. One of these, if you want to call me at my home, I'll be glad to discuss it with you. My home phone number is 724-359-5355. Thanks. JW, thank you very much for your question.
Yeah, we had several questions about what's the best feed to feed.
Are there any
breed,
questions
so.
that were sent in beforehand on feed? I don't
Yeah.
know. Okay.
Somebody asked the best feed for pigeons and best Birmingham rollers, best mix to feed them.
Okay. I've already talked a little bit about this particular feed. For rollers, my rollers, just so you know, this time of the year they're breeding. They get exactly the same pellet as the rest of my birds do. But if you want to go to a grain mix, the European Supreme with popcorn, because it's all small grain, including the corn. So nutritionally, that's a good one. The other one would be, this will probably even be better. It's called breeder and conditioner with no corn. So that, if I had to make a choice between all of them, would be one of these two. This would be my preference right here because they don't really nutritionally don't need the corn right now. Breeder and conditioner would be my suggestion.
I'm gonna go over a couple
Okay.
of questions that were asked before the show. Kira asked about the Canadian peas. We do not carry the Canadian peas, but I can order them for you. So if you want me to order them, I'll be placing another feed order probably on Tuesday. So give me a call before Tuesday, and I can get them in for you.
Would he have to order a 50-pound bag? Because we don't sell them.
Yeah.
So I would imagine we can get it. Be glad to bring it in.
Yeah.
You'd have to buy a 50-pound bag. But that's if you keep it dry in a container, it won't go bad.
Yep. The other question, a substitute feed to replace pigeon's milk, as I want to raise chicks from day one till they start eating by themselves.
You want to do it?
Yes.
Yep. You should go into the catalog, and if you have our catalog on page 48, is a formula. And this formula many of you old timers and maybe not middle agers will remember Dr. Pigeon. He was a genius. He is the man that came up with this formula and allowed me to print it in our catalog before he passed away.
Okay, so the pigeon milk replacement, you use a yolk from any egg and mix it with a little bit of water. Then you gradually add a little bit of cream of wheat and you feed that for 6 to 7 days. Then after the 6 to 7 days, you feed them just the cream of wheat. When you do the cream of wheat, you add the hot water, let it cool and expand before you use it.
That's all the nutrition those birds are going to need. And when they get to the point where they can eat and drink from by themselves, you're going to cut that off. But nutritionally, it meets all the needs of the day.
Okay, Sean said, my birds love the oyster shell grit but won't touch the red grit. Why?
Say that again. I'm sorry.
His birds love oyster shell but won't touch red grit.
Well, if you want to try something, and if you want them to eat it, what would you recommend? I'm not trying
Mix
to put you
it
on the
maybe?
spot. Nope.
Nope.
What does it smell like?
Anise.
Add a few drops of anise oil. Smells like licorice. We have it. That's what attracts the birds to grit. The other thing is, nutritionally, pigeons know what they need. They don't have to be told. And you'll see, the feed that they eat varies over the year. In the winter, they're eating a lot of corn. In the summer, they don't want to eat the corn. So if you want them to eat the red grit, then put a few drops of anise oil on it, and we sell it here. You'll find that they're attracted to it and will eat it.
Our red grit has anise in it.
Yeah, the one from
Moya.
Moya.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, if you buy a red grit, we have anise in it. I'm not sure what brand it is, Sean, but I know that they love that anise smell.
Okay, Jerry asked, how much is it to ship in just news? Chicken grit and oyster shells with it. Is it good for chickens too?
Do you understand the question?
Chicken grit and oyster shell. Is it good for chickens?
Yeah, well, we just mentioned that. Maybe Jerry, you're just tuning in. We sell a grit concentrate. It's red. The chicken grit by itself does not have the nutrition that a pigeon needs. So what you want to do is take the chicken grit and the oyster.
He asked us if it's good for chickens. I don't know.
I'm not, Jerry, we're confused by your question, but I will say that if you use a chicken grit, you have to add something to it like the grit concentrate, and if and they love oyster shell, but it has to be very small. Sometimes with the oyster shell, you may have to crush it to make it smaller. The oyster shell that's in our pigeon grits is much smaller than what you would find in an oyster shell for chicken. Make sense? Jerry, if I didn't answer your question correctly, just give me a call or send in a clearer question. He's got fantails and giants. Boy, you're going from a small bird to a huge bird. The giants, I'm assuming it's giant homers, are going to eat pretty much any size feed. The fantails are a small, delicate bird, so it may be different. So their nutritional needs are different. I can't assume. I'm assuming you don't have them together, so you might want to feed two different feeds. But if you went to a feed with no corn or a feed with popcorn, both of them nutritionally would do fine with that particular feed. Okay. I had a question here. Do you mind if I do this one?
Go ahead.
A lady, her name's Ann, sent us, and she couldn't find the type of pigeon feed she wanted locally, and she tried it and said her birds wouldn't eat it, and they wasted a lot of it. So she put a formula together and gave it to the feed store to see if they would make it, and evidently they did. And she mentioned the weather there, very hot and humid. So here's her combination. She has safflower, popcorn, lentil, milo, red wheat, buckwheat, and hemp. If I'm trying to understand, oh yeah, she doesn't give me the percentages of the feed in it, and I so without knowing whether it's 5%, 10%, that kind of thing, I really have a hard time suggesting whether it's good or not. I went through a book trying to find the nutritional value of lentils. I know what a lentil is. They make soup with lentils. Looks like a little pea, doesn't it?
I think so.
I mean, yeah, a little pea, something
Yeah,
round.
a little.
So I can't comment on lentil. If you want me to do some research, I will. Either email me at Jerry Gagne, at foyspetsupplies.com, or call me 724-843-6889. So I can't comment. The feed seems like a good one. They love safflower. They should. It's an expensive feed, but pigeons love it. But you can overdo anything. Safflower, what that does is give the pigeons really smooth, glossy feather. Um, okay, she's from Colorado. Hits the 100-degree mark with humidity levels of 30%. That's some tough weather. But I've found people ask me, they'll call me from Alaska, they'll call me from Maine, they'll call me from Arizona, California, Texas, Florida, and one of the common questions is the weather okay here? Pigeons are raised all over the world in all temperatures. So if your birds acclimate themselves to your area, doesn't bother them a bit. It doesn't matter. I'm in a temperature where we get no extremes, lows or highs. You get some extremes. But once your birds are acclimated to that kind of weather, they're not going to have an issue. Fellow in North Pole, Alaska, sounds cold to me, but he's a good customer, and he's been raising pigeons up in North Pole, Alaska for years. And how about all the Canadian fanciers? There are thousands and thousands of people in Canada who have pigeons. There's a Canadian Pigeon Association. How about down in Arizona? Earl Biederman down there. No, he's in New Mexico. Same kind of weather, very, very hot and dry. So I wouldn't worry about that. The only thing is when you get up to 100 degrees or high temperatures and dry, make sure that they have plenty of water in front of them at all times. And when you have that kind of weather, you're going to find that the birds are going to eat a little bit less. But it's just like us. When it's very, very hot, we're not going to, and at a barbecue, whatever, usually you're not going to have the appetite that you might have in regular weather. Hope I answered that. And if I don't answer the question to your satisfaction, send in a follow-up question and we'll spend a little bit of time on that. So
Or call us.
call us.
You can always call.
If you want to call Foys, our sponsors, 877-355-7727 or 724-843-6889. Call after the show if you want to talk to us. I usually stick around for 15 or 20 minutes after the show to answer questions. So we're going to talk about.
Keep in mind that the feed and grit that we're showing you, that's not all that we have. We have other feed, other single grains and grit available. So if there's anything you're interested in that we don't carry, just give me a call and we can discuss it to see if I can get it in stock for you or get some for you.
And if you're interested in the single grains like safflower, millet, all of the different grains, we offer it in 10-pound bags. So, because if you want safflower, you don't want a 50-pound bag of safflower. You may want to add safflower or something, some other grain to your existing feed. So we'd be more than happy to ship you a 10-pound bag of just about anything that we sell.
So the next grit we're going to talk about is the red and white grit that he was talking about earlier, and that comes from Moyer as well. Both of these grits do have anise in them. Not all the grits have it, but these two do have the anise in them.
Okay. Now, two colors, red, white. From a nutrition standpoint, from a calcium standpoint, there isn't any difference. It's just preference. When I grew up having pigeons, everybody had red grit. It was red cross grit. I think they had gray too, but so just preference. Some people like red grit. Some people like gray grit. The people who are very picky, I suppose is the right word, are people who raise white pigeons or light-colored pigeons. If you feed this, there's a tendency not to stain it, but they'll have red on their chest where they're eating it. And you certainly don't want to give it to them if you're taking them to a show. So this would not do that. But from a nutritional level, they're the same. But you can see how small it is. You go buy a chicken grit, and it's nothing like this. Completely different. So this crushed oyster, I can see that. There's crushed granite in here, and the smell of licorice in the red one. So it's made for pigeons, unless you absolutely have to. Don't use a chicken grit. If you have to use a chicken grit, get the Foys pigeon
Pigeon grit concentrate.
Grit concentrate. And the question is, do you need grit when you are feeding pellets? I do. I don't think they need it, but I like to put the grit in front of them because they enjoy it. But the grit acts like teeth and helps to grind up the grains that they're eating. When they're eating pellets, they don't need that. But I notice I put it down and they go after it, so they do like it. This is the naturals. Mm-hmm. Okay. This is the grit that I use. Period. I've used nothing else now for a good while. And the reason I use it is it has what they call redstone. We'll talk about redstone a little bit. But this broken up oyster shell. I don't have to clean up my mess later, do I? No. Do we have any other questions? Come on, folks. We need a question that makes what this. If you have a question, send it in to us. There's other people probably with the same question, right?
Right. Okay. Always is.
Here's a sample of natural grit. We import this from Belgium. We have a shipment coming in shortly, but we still have it in stock, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. So it's got redstone in it. It's got oyster shell in it. It's got not gravel, but granite in it, ground up.
Silex?
Pardon?
Silex?
Silex. What is silex?
I don't know.
It's a ground up stone, if I'm not mistaken.
I'll look it up.
Oh, you're going to look it up today. So this comes in 55-pound bags. But if you decide you want to buy a smaller amount, you maybe only have a very few birds, we sell it in the smaller bag too. One thing in talking about
groundstone.
Sandstone?
Ground stone.
Ground, is that what I said?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'm not supposed to say that. on grits, you'll find that this time of the year they love grit. The need diminishes, and I've said this so many times. Pigeons know what they want, just like chickens and everything else. So they'll slack off eating the grit in the wintertime, but when they start to breed, both the male and the female need the calcium that's in this, and they need the grit. So don't be surprised in the wintertime because they never seem to eat it, but in the summertime, this time of the year, you put it out and my grit container is gone in a very short time, so I'm checking it every day. Don't fill it up and leave it there. Just give them a little bit every day so that everybody gets some, but don't fill up your grit tray and leave it there. It's better to give them small amounts rather than leave them. All right, this is just a redstone. You'll find it only in our grit from natural. I wonder if First Alaga has redstone. I think they do. But anyway, it's what it is. It's broken up bricks, ground up into small particles. And Gina, look it up. Redstone. Wait a minute. Look up redstone for me. My memory is not the best today. What's the value? I want to see. There it is, right there.
Red clay grit. Minerals, trace elements.
Okay. It's got anise in it. Did you know that? It's got red grit. So they love it. It's ground up, and from a nutritional level, it tells you here. And I apologize because I haven't read it for a good while. I wrote the text a long time ago. Okay.
And by the way, Versalaga does have redstone grit also.
Okay. It's natural clay grit. Clay is what they make bricks from. So I know the birds eat it. And tell you a secret, I get a lot of this free because if we break a bag and don't need any smaller bags, I get to take all that stuff home. So I've put this in front of my birds and they love it. This is what I normally use, but if they give me a broken bag, I keep in 300 and 400 pigeons at a time. I go through a lot of grit, so I'll use this too. And I keep saying, pigeons know what they want, know what they need, and if I put this in front of them, they're eating it. So they know whatever's in here in the clay himself, it's good for us. That wasn't a rousing description of that, huh? I bet it should have been better prepared.
That stinks.
Okay, which one is this?
That is the Versalaga seaweed grit.
Okay. The seaweed grit, much, much smaller than even natural's grit, you can see. So the first thing that comes to mind when I'm talking about small is certainly short-beaked birds, the smaller breeds, rollers, like the oriental frills and things like that. Tell us a little bit about it. Do you have it in front of you?
Which one is it? Seaweed?
Yep.
Yeah. It's rich in minerals, trace elements, and includes essential iodine. Stimulates the functioning of the thyroid gland and promotes down molt.
Okay, down molt being the yellow molt. So nutritionally, it's telling you here it's got iron in it, and iron is needed during breeding season. So who knows? You may want to switch back and forth depending on the time of the year. But when you have a question, go to the catalog, go to our website, and trying to choose one. I've told you right now I use a natural grit, occasionally using the redstone. I haven't tried this one yet, but it's something I will try. In fact, we had a new feeder designed for us, no, drinker, that I took home, and everything in our catalog I've used one time or another just to know. So I'll take this home and see how my birds react to having it in front of them. I never have taken it. It's a fairly new product for us. Okay.
Yep, and we have a question real quick from Keith. Hi, Keith. Does anyone have access to a book called Feed to Win Part 1? Is that Part 1?
This is Part 2.
Oh.
I may have Feed to Win Part 1 also. Why don't you do this, Keith? Here's Part 2. Give me a call, 724-359-5355. That's my home number. I have maybe 100 books. In fact, I went through them today. Remember you asked me if we had a particular book? We do not.
Okay.
But I might have Feed to Win Part 1. I'm really not sure. I'll have to look. If you call me, I'll look it up. This is a great book. Do we sell this one?
I don't know if we sell it anymore.
I don't think we do anymore.
I don't think we do.
It's out of print. But this book itself is on the market. Its value in the old bird book collection is at about $125. So I got an expert to appraise it, and it's in excellent condition. In fact, one of our future shows is going to be going through some of all of the old books that we do have, fancy birds and showbirds. And then I think what we're going to do, it'll be part of a future auction, and we'll make that money available to help the future of the pigeon hobby. So Keith, you give me a call. Keith is a customer of ours, isn't he? I think I thought I recognized his name. Thank you for your business. Okay.
Okay, the next one is Versalaga's Neo Grit.
Okay.
That one was seaweed. This is Neo.
This is their regular grit.
Yeah. That one has, and this also has anise in it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Here again, it's closer to the mix that. Give me the natural grit, please. Making a mess.
Where's it at? Right here.
You can see they're very, very similar. This one has. It looks like it has charcoal in it. Charcoal is a
seashells, redstone, oyster shell, sea algae, calcium, flint grit, and flint stones.
Now I can see broken up shells in here, which gives you a lot of calcium. So we have a lot of choices when it comes to grit, as you can see. And the reason we have so many is one person likes this grit, the other person likes that grit. So we try to give you a choice. All of them are made for pigeons. Some have special needs. Some people want uh, specific things in them. If you go to our catalog and our website and peruse, go through the catalog and find the one that's closest to your need. Okay.
Hey, no, this is the last one.
Okay.
It's the Versalaga all-in-one mineral mix.
That's become popular, hasn't it?
Real popular, yeah.
And one of the things, this is not a slight of people who raise fancy birds, but the racing homing pigeon, because there's so much money involved in prize money, there's $1 million races. Somebody in China paid 3.2 million for one racing pigeon, so they take it very, very seriously. And the racing pigeon people have been locked onto this one. They've done their own research and realized what it is. So it looks completely different than anything that's on the market. What is in it, Gina?
It's a mixture of vitamins, minerals, and grit.
There's no vitamins in any of the other grits.
It has a lot of stuff in it. Grit, redstone, oats, coral algae, egg biscuit, breadcrumbs, red millet, white millet, canary seed, milo, broken rice, wheat, whole bunch of stuff.
Well, then this tells you
bunch
it's
of
a grit, but
vitamins.
it's also a food supplement. There's a lot of different grains in here too, so it changes everything. These are grits. This is called all-in-one, and I'm assuming that means because not only are you giving it grit, you're giving it feed. I'll bet you. I'm gonna take some of this home too. I bet you my pigeons will go nuts over this. It's not in a bag either, is it?
It's in a bucket, 22-pound bucket.
Yeah, so when you buy it, we're shipping you a bucket with a lid on it, but I'm going to try it at home. All right. If you have a question, we've got a couple of more minutes. We remind you that we have an auction coming up in about 10 minutes. We're going to be auctioning off some Mookies as a group, some American Fantails, and a pair of racing homers. So we hope you stay tuned for that. And as I said before, all the money is invested by the Legacy Fund Trust, and we're there to help the future of this hobby. Well, not from a business standpoint, from a fellowship, from a heartfelt reason. We love pigeons. We'd like to see young people get involved. So if you send us a pair of birds, we'd be glad to auction them off for you. You do have a question? You want to take it?
Oh, yeah. Why don't you export birds? Please explain. I want to know.
Matter of choice, really. I personally don't do it. I just don't have the time to get involved. But if you were in the 2 or 3 of the pigeon magazines, there are people who do it and do a great job. Just a matter of preference. I choose not to take all of my time. I just don't have the time to do it because it's a matter of if the birds are going to be shipped, they have to be quarantined. When they get over there, wherever they're going, they have to be quarantined. So I hope that's as simple as answers I can give because I don't want to. Is that a good one? But if you want to ship birds overseas, contact me. I'll give you 2 or 3 names of people who do it. Don Hart comes to mind down in Florida. Fellow in Michigan that does it. So there's more than one person that does it. I not didn't answer your question. I got a feeling that's a gentleman. I have had people call me and want me to ship birds to them. And I just don't want to do it, but I'll set it up for you. Which reminds me, the auction we had 2 weeks ago, we auctioned all 3 pair were bought. One of the gentlemen that bought the coop tumblers turns out was from Singapore. we didn't know he was from Singapore because the shipping was $60, and to ship birds to Singapore or overseas, you're talking $300 to $500 a bird. I'm just guessing, but certainly 3 is conservative. So he paid $80 for the birds. I don't think he wanted to pay. We never heard from them again, did we?
I just told them we didn't ship
Okay, we
overseas.
emailed them and told them we
Yeah.
couldn't do it. Okay, so that's interesting that we have viewers from Singapore.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I wanted to show everybody. Everybody bitches. Look at my nice socks. Look at that. Huh? See them? The reason I show that is I wear these crazy socks and people laugh at me, but I like crazy socks. And the other thing I was going to say is this shirt. I've talked to Kim about buying us new shirts, and she says not right now. But don't you think it's time?
I think it's time.
You know, I was in the pigeon coop, and I was afraid this one was a little dirty, but I spend a lot of time with my pigeons. I'm sure you'll like me. I don't know why I like it, but I go out and just stand there and watch them, and I just enjoy the heck out of them. All right, we're going to talk about. We only got a few more minutes. If you've got a question, better send it in. We're going to be off the air in about 5 or 6 or 7 more minutes.
Okay, hold on, real quick. We're going to talk about the pickstone and pick pots. We got them from Versalaga and Natural.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Nutritionally, I think they're very, very similar. Pick pots and pick stones are one of those things. They're like treats for pigeons. This is very hard. It's been sprinkled with water and hardened. But when you get it, you just moisten a little bit. It'll all break up. The nice thing about pick pots, you get the pot free. It's part of the program, and it can be reused time and time again. I like these personally in a small loft when you only have a few birds. From a grit standpoint, nutritionally, they're very, very similar to the grits we've talked about. But the birds in a small cage or small compartment or just a few birds, you can put this down without putting a larger container. Then this is the same one. Same style of product. Pick stones. Put it in here again. I like it. It's red. They also make a gray one. Is that it? There it is. Right there. This is Natural's gray one. Some people. I've looked at the ingredients and I've looked at the nutritional value. They're very similar. But as I said before, everybody has their preference. You can get it in red or white from Natural, from Versalaga, which is Germany, isn't it? Belgium? I can't remember.
I think Belgium.
Belgium. So we import these from Natural in Belgium. We import these from the Versalaga company, also in Belgium. We started to sell Versalaga products because people asking us, so we bring it in by containers. Once again, I like these for small. Like we have a breeding cage, I'll put one of those in there. The ideal blocks, here's a couple of them. This is one of each or both the same?
One of
Okay,
each.
they look so similar,
Yeah.
a little bit different in color. What you do with these is when you want to give it to them, you crumble it up. You can put it in a container. You can put it in your grit container, your small grit container. You just crumble it up the amount that you need. And here's one of our grit feeders. This is what I use, by the way, as a grit feeder. And just crumble it up. Don't have to do the whole thing, just a little bit. You could also add it to your grit. And there's another little grit feeder that we offer. This one has a section, 3 sections. Sorry.
It's okay.
Anyways, you can put grit, you can put feed, 3 different things at the same time if you want. All right.
We have a question.
Uh-huh.
What food have you never eaten but would really like to try?
Well, I've eaten alligator. I've eaten snails. I was in Maine last weekend and I was eating lobster, love clams. I've never tried grasshoppers, chocolate-covered grasshoppers. I'd have no problem. I'd try them. Ants. I've never eaten the ants, but I would.
You've eaten worms out
I've
fishing.
eaten worms. Yeah, my great-grandchildren still can't get over it. I went to the garden and picked up a worm and swallowed it. It's just
Dirt and all.
Huh?
Dirt and all.
Yeah, dirt and all. But it was slimy, so it slid down real easy. That's a good question. We never did get to ask us anything. So
That's an Ask Anything.
That's an Ask Anything. We do a little segment. We try to remember it. So if you have a question, how much feed should you feed per bird? I can't give you a straight answer on that one because it depends on the breed. I think that's the gentleman that had the giants, and he also had the smaller breed.
Was it?
The bigger breeds are going to eat more. The smaller breeds are going to eat less. Uh, what I would tell you to do is put some feed out. See how much they eat in 15 or 20 minutes. That's how much those birds are going to eat. But like I say, a dove or a very small bird like a roller certainly is going to eat less than a homer or less than a giant runt or a giant racing homer. So it's a question that really has no answer at all, except you'll find out yourself. It's so easy to do. Okay. Uh, we're going to be signing off in a couple of minutes, but do mention we'll have the results of the auction as soon as this particular show is over. You want to talk about this? I think this is great.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have this up? We just started the Foys Junior Helper Kit for kids to try to encourage them to come to the pigeon hobby or stay in the pigeon hobby. It's a kit with several items in it. It's only $35, and that includes shipping. It has a carry basket in it, has a whistle, a sample of feed, some cups, a water bob, and a pigeon crossing sign.
And
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 and a free membership to the MPA. We've had, I think our last show we announced this.
mm-hmm.
We put flyers now in the orders, send them out. It's on our website, or you can call and order it.
What's it sell for?
Sells for $35.
I think we checked it out retail wise. It's somewhere around close to $50 or $48, something like
Yeah.
that.
Yep.
Yeah. So if you've got children or grandchildren or you know children who might be interested in the hobby or already in pigeons, it's great that they belong to the National Pigeon Association. You'll get a magazine 4 times a year all about pigeons, and it'll announce shows, and they may see a show in their area that they want to go to. So if you want to encourage a youngster, maybe one of your relatives or a neighbor or something like that, to get involved in this great hobby, we'd be glad to send out that kit to them. And it's free shipping. It's our way of trying to give back a little bit, right?
Okay, so we're going to go right into the auction. Our next show is going to be Friday, June 7th, 2:45 Eastern Standard Time. First 15 minutes is with Jerry. From 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock is Jerry and I. And then 4 to 4:15 we go straight into the auction.
And I'm going to wear a different pair of colored socks. I don't know where Kim was here a minute ago. She probably saw my bright red socks. Okay.
We got a question real quick. In the breeding season, leave feed with him 24/7 while youngsters are present?
Not necessarily 24/7. The reason I say not necessarily, if you leave feed out like that, it may be okay. You might have a vermin-proof loft. In fact, even my cafeteria feeders, we sell a little board that actually comes with it to block it so that mice and so forth aren't there eating that feed in the evening. So if you're able to do it, move the feed and then put it back in the morning when you go to work. And then in the evening, take it away. Hey, thanks an awful lot for listening. We do appreciate it. I hope you see we have just as much fun doing this, hopefully, as you have watching us. We're going to have the auction in
Right now.
60 seconds, 30 seconds. Okay. Should I move this?
No.
Do we have bids on any of them? All of them?
I'm sorry.
We're ready.
I don't know when you're doing. You need it if you're taking them out. Take them out and put them over here.
Is it sunny? Right? It's so sunny out here. We okay, Veronica? Can we see him okay?
You need to move over. He's getting ready to bring the pallet up.
All right. This is a pair of homers that I've contributed. I try to match the colors. Can you show them the colors, Gina?
Come over here.
Okay. This is the hen. I put a pink band on them. 2018 birds. Nice little red splash. Now I tell people these are beautiful pigeons. no bugs on them. They'll home for you from, if you train them, they'll come home from 100 miles if they're well trained. But I don't uh, tell you they're race quality. These are race because they're pretty. You can have a lot of fun with them, take them to the market, let them go, show your kids, whatever, but they're not for racing in a club. This is this is the cock bird. As you can see, it has a blue band on it. Once again, it's a 2018 bird. Red and white, very similar in color. I'm looking to see the telltale marks. Let's see. This, here's your bird. It's a male, pretty pigeon. We have a bid of what, 100 and what? 130. All right. If you'd like the bird, purchase this pair. We'll ship them to you on Tuesday. And we've got a bid right now for 130. So if you're interested, would like to buy this beautiful pair of racing homers, it would take a bid of 140. And we only have about 12 more minutes, and we shut it down. Don't wait until the last minute. We've had to shut out some people. Really pretty orange eye on the bird. If you can, I don't know whether you can see it. Just a nice bird. Look at that nice white sear right there on her nose. Wattle, I said sear. Wattle is the nose, sear is what goes around the eye. So, all right, we've got a bid for 130. Now, with the holiday being Monday, and then me coming back from vacation, I wasn't able to get the birds to Veronica to take pictures. So the pictures were only available Wednesday and Thursday and this morning. So it's not surprising that we did not get the bids that we normally do. So on sale or on, what is the minimal on the bookies? 180. Okay. This is a very unusual offer. We've never done it before. There's 7 Mookies in here. Pardon? Okay, that's a Mookie. Got a little bit of a crest of white here. This is a blue bar white flight. There's 7 of them. The reason there are 7 is Dr. Bob, who's a veterinarian, donated it to us, but I didn't know for sure which ones were hens and cocks. Most of them were 2018 birds. So not knowing, I'm offering all 7. I know it says 180 because of circumstances. If somebody wants to bid $100 for these, a minimum of 100, and you win the bid, I'll send them to you. So you're talking about 7 birds for only $100. If you like the little tiny Mookies, this one is a silver, pretty bird. So I think there's 2 silvers in here, and the rest are pretty much all blue bars. 2018 bird from Dr. Bob. I'm offering them all for as little as $100. One bid. That way, I'll ship them all to you on Tuesday. Hi guys. The other pair, and we'll bring, if we don't sell these, we'll bring them back because they've only been on our site for 2 days. That's just not enough. We have a pair of American fantails from Earl Biederman, and these are what's called AOC. It just means a mix of colors, mostly white with a colored tail. This bird is 2018 also. This is a mated pair. So there's one AOC, you can see the tail. Now, I'm a little embarrassed in that the tail is not in the condition they should be, but I'm not a fantail breeder, and I didn't have a loft with no perches at all, so they had to sit on the perch, and they got soiled more than they might if it was a loft built for fantails. This is the mate. It has a little bit of color in it. There's a blonde feather there, so it's called AOC. Any other color? Once again, a mated pair, 2018, from one of the best fantail breeders in the United States. So if you're looking for a real bargain, Veronica, what's the minimum? 100 on those? 150. Okay. Bid. Okay. We've sold these for upwards of 130 a pair from the same breeder. I understand if we don't sell them, I'll bring them back to the future. Did she say something? Okay, so that's it. You've got about 10 minutes. If you have a question, can you get the question up on the screen if they ask questions through Facebook? So if you have a question about these three breeds, or I also might mention, if there's a breed that you'd love to see being auctioned off, you call and let us know. And what I will do is contact the breeders of that particular breed and do my very best. When we offer birds, they're not just any birds. I tell them we need quality, and all of, well, of course, I can't talk about my own, but certainly the Mookie's from a good good Mookie breeder, Dr. Bob. Gregorio has his own veterinarian practice, loves pigeons. In fact, what we're going to have up here, if not the next auction, the future auction, is another pair of, he experiments genetically, and we're going to have a pair of the albino, solid white albino, got the pink eye. Um, we sold them before, and we're going to have another pair for you in the near future. Once again, there's a backward view of our fantails. Now, if you spent a little bit of time working on their tail, or making sure they're not on a perch where the upper bird can poop on them. Also, I've talked about these cages before. If you are looking for a great unit, it's on wheels. You can see it comes with the tray, so all the droppings go down here, and you can pull them out and clean them. It has a center section. This is the water. So if you want to water them, all you have to do is open this door here, fill it full of water. Now, it comes with two of these drinkers. I've done myself is convert them. That's for water, and I've used these for feed. And the reason I've done that is with the feed in an open container, they love to throw that feed all over the place. By using this, there's almost absolutely no waste. No waste. These are called floor feeders. They're made in Spain, but they really do a nice job. We have those in 2 and 3 hole, 1 hole too, don't we? 2 and 3 holes. So it's actually separated, completely segregated or separated. You could put grit on one side or feed on the other side. I like them. There's absolutely no waste. These birds have been in here for a number of days, but as you can see, get this one out. There's no feed, no waste at all. And I kid about this, but I'm the only one that talks about pigeon poop, I guess, on a regular basis. See this right here? That's a sign that you've got some really healthy pigeons. These are down feathers. When the down feathers stick to the droppings, that tells you you're doing something right. See the little balls, the little brown balls? The white on top is the urine, and the dark color is the feces. This white, wet stuff, that means it's stress. I've handled them, had my hands in there, so sometimes you'll get white or you'll get green droppings that are very, very, very loose. That'll go away in a very short period of time. Once again, we have a pair of fantails from Foys. We have a pair of fantails. Yeah. Did I say fantails? Yeah. A pair of racing homers, red splashes. You can look at them again real quick if you're just tuning in. The hen is on the left with a pink band. The cockbird is on the right with a blue band, so when you get them, you know what color. The hen has a bull eye, not that that matters. The other one has an orange eye. The Mookies, you have a choice of silver, not a choice, you will get silver and you will get blue bar, 7 of them, all 2018 birds, young birds, show quality. And if you're looking for good Mookies, you're going to get them here. 7 birds for $100. That, my math is good. That's $14.50 each. Now that's pretty darn cheap, and $60 shipping. So $100 buys all of those, and that's pretty much it. We've got 4 more minutes. The bidding usually stops. Well, if you try to send something in at 2 minutes to the end of the show, it'll be too late. It takes a little bit of time to get to us. Once again, all of these birds are auctioned off. You send the money to us. I am the chairman of the Legacy Fund Trust. I record it, put it in our book, and put your name down as a contributor. I'm sorry, as a donor, if you're a donor, you get credit for it. But as a buyer, you get the advantage of top quality birds at reasonable prices. Where are you going to buy 7 birds for 100, or maybe buy a pair of fantails for a little over 100? Well, I get calls all the time, people looking for good fantails, and most people this time of the year don't even want to sell them because they're breeding and they don't know what they're going to get. You have a chance to get a pair of fantails from Earl Biederman. You know you're going to get good quality. So if you have a question after the show, I will still have, if we don't get bids on these two, you can still buy them. You call me at home and I'll make them available to you at the prices we talked about. And my phone number is 724 843 6889. Did we get another bid?
2 minutes, yeah, and Mookie's.
For the Mookies, how much? $100? $100. What's his name? Pete? I can't. Anyway, that's great. What is it? Randy, thank you very much. So we've sold these, and the only pair that we still have are the American Fantails from Earl Biederman, and really top quality birds. If you're interested, I'd let them go. Like I say, I'd like to move them so we can bring in new birds. If you're interested, $125, we'll buy that pair. And I know that his birds sell for a heck of a lot more than that. So we've got 100. If you want to make another, if you want to bid on them, you've got about 3 or 4 minutes. The 7 Mookies, $100. 110 would buy them.
Less than 2 minutes.
Less than 2 minutes. The Racing Homers, 130, 140, so 100 something in that area. Make a bid for 140 or whatever it is. 1 minute, and that. So we haven't really cut it off, don't we? Because somebody can't send a bid in now and get to us in time.
They could, I mean.
They can try, And what's going to happen now is Gina will contact you at home,
No,
and I'm sorry, email you.
they need to call us.
I'm
if
sorry.
They win.
Getting tired, folks. Almost 80 years old. We're winding down. You have to call us after the show. Call Gina or email Gina at Foys, and she'll take your credit card. I'll get them out to you on Tuesday. I'll call you and let you know they're on their way, and I'll give you a tracking number. And the other thing is, if you look in our catalog on our site, the minimum shipping of a pair of pigeons is $80. We've taken, we've discounted that just to help the club, or help the NPA. So the shipping, even on the 7 Mookies, is only $60. $60 shipping on any of these, which includes the box. So get in touch with Gina, please. Don't wait until next week. We certainly would like to get these birds out to you Tuesday. Gina's number is 724-843-6889. Thanks an awful lot for watching. We have a lot of fun doing it. Hope you enjoy watching it. Bye now.
Hold on.
Yeah, you hold on. I'm going to go over and get the list of the buyers. Okay, the Racing Homers were bought by Asif Mizan, M-I-Z-A-N, for $120. Randy Pressel, he's bought birds from us before, I think. He bought the Mookies, $100. And the Fantails will bring back at a future date. Thank you very much.